Greetings, you're listening to the Cold Call Lawcast, the Minnesota Law School podcast featuring students from the University of Minnesota Law School, the University of St. Thomas School of Law, and the Mitchell-Hamlin School of Law. Welcome to Cold Call. My name is Mitch, a 1L from the University of St. Thomas School of Law, and with me are my co-hosts.
Hi, I'm Abby. I'm a 1L at the University of Minnesota Law School.
Hi, I'm Hannah. I'm a 2L at the University of Minnesota Law School.
Hi, I'm Christina. I am a 2L at the University of Minnesota Law School.
And thank you so much, Christina, for filling in
Anytime.
for Anthony. And so with us today is Sarah Koziol, and you are a 1L at the University of St. Thomas School of Law, just like me.
Yes, contigo.
Yes. What did you actually do before you came to law school at the University of St. Thomas?
Oh, a lot of things that were really not related to law, actually. So, I did my undergrad at the School of the Art Institute of Chicago, which is the museum school in Chicago. Super competitive, way cooler than me, like really cool. And I studied textile design there, in the Department of Fiber and Material Studies. So,
I love the sound of that.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie, and that's still a huge passion of mine: art making and activism through craft.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love like people who knit with like yarn inside of them, and they like, I don't know. That's like the activism through craft that immediately came to mind.
No, the fiber girls get down. Like,
yeah.
So
sorry about that. I don't know why that's like
So I was a fiber girl, and trying to show my work, and always making art and in the studio. And I started volunteering for a labor organization, which is it's like an alt union for workers that can't be organized in a union. So like domestic workers, service workers, people who are currently unemployed, to advance workers' rights. So it's like these two experiences, being an artist, being an activist, were kind of the thing that made me who I am. But I was also super poor when I graduated. So I served tables for a long time at some fancy restaurants. What else did I do? I was a paralegal at a civil defense firm. I sewed marine canvas briefly.
What is that?
Like sails and boat covers and...
Okay.
Oh, cool.
Like by hand?
No, with an industrial machine.
I would think it would take something strong, yeah.
Yeah, but that was maybe the weirdest job I've ever had. What else? A bunch more. I've had a lot of jobs.
And so was that work and being a paralegal? Do you feel like that helped you come to law school?
Oh,
or?
Yeah, I did not need to do a whole lot of work to do well in civil procedure.
Oh, I suppose so.
Cool.
That must have been awesome.
Yeah, that was actually, it was really weird because the work that I was doing as a paralegal was pretty limited to like the beginning of the case. I was writing probably 1,000. I've probably written 1,000 retention letters for this one client, and again and again and again, really repetitive. So I understand, and I did trial prep. So I went into the class knowing a lot about how lawsuits start, and then I also knew a lot about how lawsuits end. So yeah, the final went okay.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite rule of civil procedure?
Oh, I love the nerdery. I think my favorite rule of civil...
I thought you said I love notaries. I was like, well, I'm also a notary.
Damn, I need to talk to you about how to become a notary.
Okay.
Because it comes up. But I think my favorite rule of civil procedure is Rule 11, because I love shaking shit up.
Nasty.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. In case someone who happens to be hearing this doesn't know what Rule 11 is, you're probably not like a law student or something. Look it up. But it's basically like when you say or do something that is just like so outrageously not allowed, you get in trouble, which is kind of fun.
And so do you feel like also that like writing stuff that you did has helped you in our lawyering skills class that we have for writing and stuff?
Oh, big time. Big time.
That's awesome. Yeah, because right now we're working on a paper about bird law, so it's very awesome.
Oh, really?
Migratory Bird Treaty
I
Act.
just got done with my oral
Oh, yeah.
argument, actually.
Oh, how did that go?
I think I kicked ass.
There you go.
Kicked bird ass. Actually, I was
Known as the cloaca.
the fake plaintiff that was protecting the birds, so I shouldn't say that.
So you didn't kick the bird's ass.
Right. I saved them
Yeah, you patted them.
from the guillotine
Gently.
of a wind turbine.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, you were one of those suits.
Yeah, someone was
it's
creating a wind turbine that was in the path
anti-turbine.
of a migratory bird, a fake
Yeah.
migratory bird.
I'm doing a routing procedure or a routing proceeding right now in one of my classes for turbines, offshore wind turbines in Superior, and that's one of the groups is birds. Though they set it up as like a falconry group, which is not accurate because it wouldn't actually be dangerous to falcons. I asked my dad about this. He's a falconer. He was like, well, actually, that's not the kind of birds you're going to put at risk.
Wait, are you telling me that a law school hypothetical was not factually correct and wasn't thought all the way through?
I
my
would never
God.
say that.
Right. I loved this prompt, Professor Gordon. Thank you for writing this prompt.
He's actually my professor for lawyering skills too. He
awesome.
was one who writes it. No, he's like all into birds now, and he says he can't like eat chicken anymore or anything like that.
Birds are awesome, though. Chickens, I don't know.
They're their own thing.
They can't fly, and they're also extremely rude and like tribal birds.
Didn't you have a bird? And didn't you have a chicken
I
growing
had
up?
many chickens.
Skittles?
And I did. I had Skittles. Skittles was one of them. But I also had Kudo, and Kudo he was so acclimated to humans. He was like a super friendly bird. He'd been raised from a chick by us. And then we put him out with the rest of the chickens. It was okay. But you know what happened to Kudo? Kudo froze to death. Because,
What?
yeah, there was a big freeze one night, and the rest of the chickens wouldn't let him in the chicken huddle because he was too friendly with people.
Oh my gosh.
Chickens
Wow.
are fierce.
That's rude as
Wow.
a
Yeah,
heck.
they're real
and they'll
rude.
also like eat their own eggs sometimes. Like if they
Yeah.
get neurotic, I know. They're pretty crazy.
I love them, but
Yeah.
they also can't really fly. It's like,
And they're not migratory, not covered under
sucks.
MBTA.
That's
Yeah, you guys
true.
don't have to
They're not
worry about them.
endangered.
they only migrate.
That is not the
as
criteria,
food.
actually.
Oh, is it just? Yeah, right. It's just that they're migratory.
A Canada goose.
Wait, do
is a
nuggets?
take.
Do nuggets count? Because those migrate all across the United States. And those
It is a
Tyson
bird
trucks.
part. Actually, that's a cool question. Yes, it is. If it were a migratory bird in a nugget, yeah. If it was like Canada goose nugget, yeah, that's a
Oh.
take.
Goose nuggets.
Moving on.
So Sarah, so where all did you apply to law school, and kind of what was your process, and why did you finally decide on the great University of St. Thomas?
Oh my God. This is a question that gives me endless anxiety because I have FOMO all the time about where I applied, where should I be. Luckily, like I've met really awesome people who have stoked my interests and helped point me in directions towards my passions at St. Thomas. So it ended up okay. But that's not answering your question. I applied to all the schools in Chicago. I applied to all the schools in Minnesota. I applied to UW-Madison. I applied to Berkeley, which is like really where I wanted to be because I'm, like this artist that had to become a lawyer or an advocate. I would prefer. When Trump got elected, I was like, "Fuck this! I need to go to law school."
Oh,
Sounds
you
like
were
a familiar.
Trump
Trump
dump.
bump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trump bump,
Trump
Trump bump, Trump dump. Either way.
Yeah, no, that's me.
Yeah.
Like that's me. I was
Awesome.
totally activated.
I feel like that's
I'm
half of the people we've met. On
Yeah,
here.
I'm so stoked on it. Like the 1L class is awesome this year. I love having them around. We had like an event for like line 3 today, and like 55 people showed up. It was like, man, you kids are actually interested in this. It was all 1Ls, like
Like we were last year. Like you children.
yeah. No, I just think that it's a much more like socially minded, like progressive sort of group of people that
Rad.
there's like a higher proportion at least, like because it is a lot of people who are like, oh, fuck Trump.
Dope.
And what's cool is that St. Thomas sells itself as social justice is in the mission statement at St. Thomas School of Law. And I decided I was not planning on going to St. Thomas. I was like, definitely going to go to Berkeley. I was like, that's what's happening. And then I met Dean Vischer actually at some recruitment event. And I was just like pretty snotty, like too cool for school, and was asking the representatives of the school, like, can you discuss your mission statement? Why is your school in a position to form the next generation of advocates, or something like really snotty like that? And
Very deep, yeah.
And I asked this to Dean Vischer, who, as the CEO of St. Thomas Law School, responded really well and talked about social justice, and definitely like was saying things that made sense to my brain. And I totally bought it. I don't think that very many people in my position, though, like coming from the same perspective, wanting to go to law school, I don't think very many people make that decision. But there's definitely a contingency of folks at St. Thomas who are like really latched on to the idea that their social justice work would be supported there. So that's why I went there.
Do you ever feel like either the students or faculty are very conservative, though, compared to obviously compared to Berkeley?
Oh yeah, I mean, so I was in a community of like mostly queer artists in Chicago. I had never met in my life. I had never met someone who admitted to being a Trump supporter until I came to St. Thomas.
We have a couple of them, yeah.
Yeah. And
Are they proud? Are they real proud?
yeah, like they're out. And
Fine, I had to come out, so do they.
Yeah, I know at least one where she openly talks about like canvassing for Trump.
yeah, and you know, honestly,
Gender traitor.
I'm okay with being the person who can respectfully and seriously engage with people who disagree with me. I'm okay with that. Like, I think I actually have learned a lot by talking to people who might look at me and see like, oh, here's this like white girl with bangs and like weird glasses and tattoos, and like she's talking about peace all the time and human rights over property rights. Like, I find that people at St. Thomas want to be dismissive of me at first, and then they realize that I'm working just as hard as them, and they actually will listen.
Yes, and that's a nice thing about them being forced to, be in the same classroom with you for, like, at least, an hour and a half or whatever it is.
Because do you guys at the U of M, do you ever feel like your group is too homogeneous in their thoughts?
No.
Because we're not. I'm also like okay being in an echo chamber, but it's not an echo chamber. I think that there is like diversity of thought. It might be the reputation of the U of M that it's like a very liberal school, blah, 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 but that's not necessarily the case.
Yeah, and by the way, echo chambers, you argue way more than you argue if I'm arguing with someone who thinks that we should build a wall at our southern border, we're arguing about really, really different concepts, and we don't need to hone in on very many details.
Right.
Like, if I'm arguing with another person who has different ideas, like who also believes that like immigration policy should look the same way generally that I think it does, but we're arguing about a specific policy, or we're arguing about a specific language that should be used, those get way more contentious.
Right. Yeah.
So you're talking like about the difference between like pure open borders compared to like someone who just wants a fairly liberal or progressive immigration policy. Yeah,
or like people who are like for prison reform talking to someone who is a prison abolitionist. Like that gets really, really contentious. So I don't know.
See, I feel like that's kind of interesting because we actually had a prison abolitionist that came to St. Thomas.
She's so awesome. Look her up.
Yeah. And what's interesting is she actually went to prison. Like she spent like 2 years there for fraud in a position she was working at. She's actually a lawyer, and so she went to prison for 2 years. And then but we didn't get to ask her very many questions because I would have liked to have understood why she's a prison abolitionist. Because